Guys, I just got done with a video call interview for the show, and I have to say that it was like the smoothest experience ever. Didn't have any issues or anything, and the video came out almost perfect. And do you know why? It's because I used Riverside. Riverside is your online recording studio where you can record a conversation with any guest online. You can easily record podcasts and videos in studio quality from anywhere, all from your browser or their mobile app. All you have to do is get your setup ready, send your guests a link for them to join, have them join from their phone or their computer, and just chat away. A lot of podcasts that you listen to are probably using Riverside, honestly. What sets Riverside apart is that a recording of your audio and your video is happening locally on your computer. So even if your connection isn't that good, it doesn't ruin the entire recording or anything. Once you've finished recording, you will get the individual tracks of each speaker and also a combined one. You'll receive all the raw files, including that Pepsi crystal clear, uncompressed audio in up to 4K video. There's also lots of really cool features where you can edit your video right in their site. So, if you're a YouTuber, a podcaster, or streamer, or a content creator of any kind, and you want to have high quality conversations with your guests, please use my link in the description and sign up for Riverside. If you want to support me in the channel, please use my link since I end up getting a cut from the sales. I'm not joking. Please support me. Sign up for Riverside and start recording today. For today's show, we're back, baby. A little late with the transition. Sorry. Whatever. Get it together, Clifford. Anyways, welcome back. It's good to be back. It's always, I don't know. After 2 weeks, it always feels like, oh man, it's been forever, you know? So, good to be back. Today we are joined by Peter Gabriel. By Peter Gabriel. It's actually... There was a time in his career where like his first 4 albums were all self-titled albums. So people have given it the name. I believe this one is Security, and it was his 4th one. So it's a really good one. Probably my favorite of the self-titled ones. But yeah. Anyways, big episode today. We got a lot to get to. Why is this like so? It's like so tight. Got to loosen up, you know. Got a lot to get to. Of course, we got our top 10 Christian albums of 2023, and we're finally going to be done with our 2023 lists. I promise next year I'm going to do my best to, because I think the big problem with this year was that I was not ready for my lists, and so I didn't get started until late in January. And since these episodes are, 2 weeks apart, it feels like it takes forever. I don't know. At least for me, it does. So I'm going to at least do my best to make sure that that I'm ready by the first week of January next year so that this doesn't take so long. We got Nick Gundy in the chats today. Afternoon. Good afternoon, Nick. I guess it is technically the afternoon. It is 10 minutes after noon. So afternoon, top of the afternoon to you. Yeah, so got some things to get through before we get to our list today. Had some housekeeping, and of course, I have a few announcements to make, and I'm going to make them. Actually, do I want to get to the comments? I don't think there was a whole lot to get to today. Man, I should have had these up and ready, but I don't, of course. Classic Clifford. Because one of the comments that I got recently kind of immediately ties into one of my announcements. So, let's take a look. Yeah. Nothing really to get to except for this one comment that I have. So, first of all, just some reminders for you guys. Podwood Forecast. We have our latest episode on our favorite albums in general. General albums of 2023, which I actually wanted to talk more about that when we get to our main topic today. But yeah, that's out, so you can check that out. And we actually just recorded our favorite films of 2023, and I'm going to be getting to editing that, so hopefully that'll be out sooner rather than later. So check that out. The other thing is that if you guys missed it, I have a new album out. Actually, technically, it's my first album. I've never released an album before, mostly EPs, but this hardly even counts as an album, I will be honest, because it is a Lost Tapes album where it's called Lost and Found from Sherwood Forest, and it includes lost demos and unreleased songs and such, and I think it's pretty fun. I mean, the songs aren't perfect, but that's not really the point, So if you guys think you would enjoy that, please go check it out. It's exclusively on Bandcamp, and you can get it for free. You can pay whatever you want, check that out, and that'll keep you guys entertained until I have some new music to release. So more on that later, but yeah, that's going to be happening. So, so go check that out. All right, so I wanted to get to this comment because I've been teasing this for a while. I mentioned that I have a special guest coming up, and I'm finally going to announce who it is, because it's literally going to be in the next episode. But Mr. Jesus Freak Eric commented on the last episode, which, by the way, check out the last episode. It's my interview with Chase Tremaine. It's a really fun conversation that I had with him. So, but Mr. Jesus Freak Eric commented, "I'm going to assume the next guest will be an old Newsboys member, John James or Peter Furler, perhaps, LOL." And when I read that, I was like, oh, maybe, hopefully I didn't set the bar too high. I mean, that would be high for me. But I mean, this next guest is very special for me because he was in a band that I looked up to for a long time. Not the biggest band or whatever, but there's probably quite a few of you who would be familiar. But not to say that I would never be able to get an interview with John James or Peter Furler. I actually did reach out to John James when I was doing research for my John James documentary. And I wondered if I could have like a conversation with him to kind of like clear out some things, and he respectfully declined, but he did respond to my email, so that was cool. So I don't know, maybe he one day would be down to have a chat, because he seems to have done a lot of interviews on YouTube, so I don't doubt that it would be hard. Peter Furler, I'm not so sure. Maybe, you never know. So, but yeah, nothing like that. But I'm going to announce it right now, which I did leave a hint on Twitter to see if people could guess who it was, but no one took the bait, so very disappointed in you guys. But so my guest for the next episode in 2 weeks is going to be none other Josh Porter, aka Joshua S. Porter, aka Josh Dies, formerly from the band Showbread. I'm really excited about this. He formerly from, musician and everything, but also pastor and writer for a couple of books that I read recently. In fact, I talked about Josh Porter in an episode last year. Talked about his book Death to Deconstruction, and but he has a new book called With All Its Teeth: Sex, Violence, Profanity, and the Death of Christian Art. And I knew I figured that he would want to, be on shows and talk about his new book. So I reached out to him and honestly didn't expect to get a response, but he was like, yeah, I'll do it. So he's very generous and very kind. And it was an awesome conversation. And I can't wait for you guys to check it out. I'm really excited about it. I've been a fan of Showbread. They were one of the first heavier bands that I got into, and they're one of the few that I still listen to today because they're just so creative and artistic. Well, they were, but yeah. So it was very honored to have them on the show. So even if you guys have never heard of Josh Porter, I definitely recommend you check it out because we talk about some things that I think that my audience would be interested in. We talk about Christian art, the state of Christian music today, and how Christians should deal with art, because he deals with a lot of that in his book. So we dive into that, and we dive into a little bit of his time on Showbread and all that. So I'm really excited about that, and I hope some of you guys are too. I am, at least. This is on the level with when I talk to Ronnie Martin, just people. I love all the guests that I've had on the show, but when you get to talk to someone that you looked up for years and listen to their music, I'm sorry, but there's just something else about that. That's just really awesome. So I'm glad that I get to have these opportunities. So yeah, definitely check that out 2 weeks from now. Okay. And another thing that I wanted to get to real quick, because I did have an announcement. Some good news and some bad news. So the good news is that I actually have a new video that is coming out this Monday, next week, this Monday. The bad news is that it's not the one that I'd been. So this seems to happen a lot where I'm working on a video and something happens that delays it indefinitely. The first thing, of course, is the John James documentary, which I've explained it before, but the reason why I haven't been working on it is because my progress is on this little guy right here, this little hard drive that was on my computer and shut down. And in order to retrieve all the data that I have on here that includes that and plus other projects, I have to pay up to $900. So it's gonna happen, but I'm not really at the point where I'm really comfortable with paying for that. So John James is just shelved indefinitely. And then so I decided that I wanted to work on this movie review for the film that I made a short little video on before, Days of Noah, but I wanted to do a more in-depth analysis and review of it, just going through the whole movie. And I was working on it, and I hadn't really done any editing on it. No, I hadn't actually at all. I was mostly just writing it. And then, so I don't know if you guys saw my post that I made on YouTube and Twitter, but I was asking people's advice because there had been some unfortunate news that had come out involving that film. So Days of Noah was made by FAI Studios, or FAI Ministries, and FAI was led by this guy Dalton Thomas, who directed and wrote the film, and directed and wrote most of the films that they made. Well, some news came out that, unfortunately, this just seems to be too common of a story, but Dalton Thomas had been he had been asked to step down from his ministry because it had come out that he had had some extramarital affairs. And he needed to step down to work on those things. And now, that wasn't what stopped me from making the video. I almost did. and I, posted on social media. I'm like, guys, I'm kind of in conflict because I think that this film by itself, even though it's written and directed by this guy and he even co-stars in it, I think that this film is great and stands alone as an amazing piece of Christian art. But I'm conflicted of whether I should make this video on it because I don't want to seem like I'm like, ignoring the sin or anything, or like, affirming him in his sinful activity. And you guys were pretty much very supportive and like, hey, because I also agree that a piece of art can stand alone and can excel above whoever the creator is. Not talking about Christians and God. I'm talking about human-made art. I think can excel above its creator, no matter what the person has done, because none of us are perfect, and that's not to excuse his sin. But I honestly thought that the film was good enough to review. In fact, I think a lot of the themes and subjects of the movie kind of tie in with that, of how we are imperfect people in need of a savior. And so I was like, all right, you know what? I think that might actually be work for my video to make it more effective. But then I started to go back to it to like continue writing on it. This film was like up for free on YouTube and on their website, and it was gone. It's taken down. It is not on YouTube and it is not on their website. Neither are, as far as I could tell, any of their other films. So it seems that alongside asking Dalton Thomas to step down, they have also removed the stuff that he worked on, at least his films. I don't know if all of his video, because they have a YouTube channel with like a bunch of videos that they made, and I don't know if they got rid of all his, but they definitely got rid of all his films, which is a shame. Not just because I was working on the video. No, get out of here. Sexy Foss K, get out of here. I forget. Can I? We just got a spam on here. I don't really remember how I can get rid of them, or even if I can. Whatever. Anyways, sorry, that's a distraction. Anyways, so I thought it was a shame because I thought it could be a interesting movie, and I wanted to introduce more people to the film, and also a lot of people worked on that film, and now it's all of a sudden been Batgirled, or if you guys heard about like the news about Batgirl and Roadrunner versus Acme, where they were just kind of taken off, they were just kind of deleted. So yeah, I don't know if they're ever going to bring it back, and I can't really finish the video without it. So that has been put on indefinite hold for now. And I'm sorry I'm taking a long time talking about this. I know you guys want me to get to the top 10 Christian albums, but I just wanted to say that when I heard those news, I immediately started working on another video that I had been wanting to make. It's a lot more simpler of a video, but I think you guys will still enjoy it. And it's shorter too. So, but that works perfectly because in March, I'm going to go see, I'm going to go to Winter Jam and make a video on that. So it works out that it's a video that it was a video that really didn't take a long time to make, but not to say that I didn't put half as much effort as I usually do. But what the video is that, and this is all I'll really tease, is that it's a Newsboys related video. So sorry, but it's a video. It's like a review and analysis. Essay, kind of like what I did for Ellie G all those years back. It's a video on what I think is actually the most underrated Newsboys song ever. And I get into it, I dissect the lyrics and, try to interpret the way, what I think the song means. And I think it makes for an interesting video. So that's going to be out on Monday. And so I hope you guys will check it out. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to spoil what the song is. You guys might take some guesses as to what it is. And even if you're not a Newsboys fan, I think you'll be interested in it, because also I think the song does a great job at tackling, even though the song was made in like I'm not even going to say, even though the song was made a while ago, I think it has a lot to do with our modern day problem of deconstruction. You can block them in the mod view through your Twitch tab. That's okay. I don't want to mess with that. And yeah, our Winter Jam adventure. Yeah, so Nick Gundy has actually offered to help me out with that, because I wanted someone to come with me and also like film it, like film my reactions and such. So that's the plan. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, Newsboys video coming out this Monday. So I hope you guys will check that out. But all right, we're gonna get into the top. You know what? We're gonna, because I also had a list of my favorite EPs, so I think I'll get into those really quick, and then we'll get into a break, and then we'll actually get into the top 10. And also, as a teaser, I also have something that I wanted to discuss after the top 10 list, but I'm not going to delay any longer. So, oh gosh, dying over here. All right, so let's get right to it, at least with the EPs. But I did want to talk, just address a few things about this list. Now, I know some of you may realize that, you know, I've already released my top 10 albums of 2023. Not my Christian albums, but just my favorite albums in general, because I do have 2 different lists, you know. I don't know if people are going to complain about that, but it just so happened that I had a lot of albums that were not Christian, that were not made by Christians, that I just kind of tended to like more than a lot of these. But here's the thing, is that like I had a tough time making my top 10. All of these on this list today were great contenders for top 10. It was really difficult to squeeze them out to make a top 10. So I just want that to be said. I know some of you who maybe have listened to the Podwood Forecast episode or seen my list on social media, that you can probably predict what at least the top 3 are going to be on this episode. But if not, then yeah, don't check those out yet. Just watch this video and you'll be just as surprised. But I just wanted to say that it's not to say that any one of these albums are like any lesser, because like I honestly had a hard time ranking these, because a lot of these are just so good, but some of them were just a little bit more obvious than the other. So yeah, I say that especially since a lot of these guys on this list are personal friends of mine that, you know, I've come to know. So, but I hope you guys don't. I think I can honestly say that I am not biased, but I might be. But I'm just having that all that clarification out there. I will be naming the people that like I do know, just so that there's some clarification out there. So, but yeah. All right, so we're gonna. There were some EPs that I listened to, and I don't really include EPs on my albums lists, so I made a separate list for them, and I'm just gonna kind of just go through them really quick. Probably not talk about them as much as I would with the other albums, but I have a top five EPs. Starting with number 5, we're starting with "Tongue Tied" by Earth Groans. I actually do have a bit of a history with Earth Groans. I don't know if they actually remember who I am, but my band Sherwood Forest once played a show with them, a house show, because they came through town once, and I had never heard of them, but we were the indie folk band amongst a bunch of other metal bands, and Earth Groans was there, and that I got to meet them, and I found out that they were all Christians, and they were just super cool, and I connected to them in that way. And so yeah, and I think Earthgroans have played an audio feed, but I didn't get to see them. Yay, Earthgrown, says Nick Gundy. Yep, I'm sure you're a fan. But yeah, Tongue Tied is their new EP, and it's extremely heavy, and it's a lot of fun stuff. So yeah, I recommend you guys check that out. Number 4 is an artist that I recently came across. Her name is Sarah Sparks, and she had an EP released last year called The Light. And it's almost not an EP, but I'm including it as an EP. It's more like 2 songs with like 2 interludes. But you know what? I'll count it because the songs are great. It almost has themes of Christmas, but not enough so that I can't really listen to it. That's not Christmas, but it's basically talking about how Christ is our light, and we celebrate him, and he conquers the darkness. And she has a really fun alternative kind of. She really takes me back to listening to like artists like Regina Spektor or A Fine Frenzy. She has that kind of style to it, and I appreciate that. She's got a lot of other good music. She has a lot of like Narnia themed, C.S. Lewis themed music that's really cool. So yeah, really exciting discovery for me this year. So yeah, that's my number 4, The Light by Sarah Sparks. Number 3 is actually a split EP. It is the Rocky Valentines and Starflyer 59. If you guys are fans of Starflyer 59, they are an excellent band. Brother of Ronnie Martin from Joy Electric, he started a band. And actually, the Rocky Valentines is his son who started his own band. The Martins are just a musical family, and it's great. And it was my first. I had not listened to Rocky Valentine's music before, but it was a fun listen for me, and it was fun to hear some new Starflyer 59 music because they hadn't released anything in a long time. So it's just good, like alternative rock. I think Rocky Valentine's is a bit more. It's like more heavier, almost kind of punkier than Starflyer 59, but it's great. It's a great split EP. And then number 2 is, full transparency, a good friend of mine, Wild and Free, by Saint of Pine Hills. And you guys know he's been on the show. You can check out my interview that I did with him, and we talked about this EP. It's just a very, I love the honesty that he has in it, and his music is great. I love his songwriting, very memorable and catchy songs with deep and honest meaning. And so I really appreciate that. And you guys have already heard me praise this EP and his music. So yeah, check out Wild and Free. Saint of Pine Hills is my number 2. And then number 1, of course, it was kind of inevitable. It's Anne Boleyn and their EP Convinced. I've just been so glad that they're back. And this EP is it's strange that Anne Boleyn has decided to explore and expand their sound on an EP. But I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that they didn't treat this EP as just another, like small release of a few tracks. Like they actually put some effort into it, some great songs, some of their best, honestly. So once Steve and Christian gets back into the band, I'm really excited for them to like release a full album. So yeah, that and if this was a full album, it would have been a great contender for being pretty up high on my list. So that's my number 1 EP by Convinced, by Anne Boleyn, Convinced. So yeah, all right. So sorry to break the momentum, but before we get into my actual top 10 Christian albums of 2023, we're gonna take a little bit of a break, a little bit of an ad break. And also Spotlight segment. We got a new Spotlight segment. Of course, so far I've been pretty successful in having one in every episode. So, all right. So don't go away. We'll be right back. This time on the Podwood Forecast.
They're going to talk like
Pop
this
open
now.
your can of beans and pop a squat. This is going to be a good episode.
What are your thoughts on controversial pop icon Klaus Schwab?
Who? Let me look up the lyrics.
For those of you
I think
who
it's
do
really
not
funny.
live in Illinois, there's a small town called Decatur, and it has a bad reputation because it smells bad. The reason is because of the factories there, but it just like gives a bad stink in the whole town. And the whole town stinks. Sufjan Stevens, Illinois.
Illinois.
That's your number.
Yeah, Illinois is my fifth favorite album of 2023. They're just progressing their progressions. And
They're progressing their progressions
they're
in a very
progressively
progressive
progressing
way.
their progressions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just, very in that way. So
Yes.
You just come up to Shaky Graves like, hey, your album was almost number 2.
It was
on my
almost my
list."
second favorite
Second
album of all
favorite.
time. It's
like-
okay though. Your last album was so much better. I'm sure you'd love to hear that.
One of my all-time favorites of all time.
Yeah.
Already messed up. 2025 definitely going to be my year.
Yeah.
Though.
That's so good.
Listen to the Podwood Forecast wherever podcasts are found. Hey guys, thanks for watching or listening to the I'm Clifford Today show. Right now we're going to take a few minutes and listen to this week's spotlight artist, The One Takers, and their new song entitled The Way It Works. You can find their music on any platform you prefer, including Apple Music, where you can purchase their music and support the artist directly. Links provided in the description of the episode.
Woke up this morning and I drove to work. Cursed this life for the way it works. Spending all my time working this old job. Get back to what I love. Made a couple dollars and I paid the bills. Always get to think about the way it feels. See it growing small in my rear view, and it doesn't make sense at all. Oh, look at your life. Is it a life to live, or is it work, sleep, and fighting with the kids? Sometimes it makes me think that we should grab the boys, leave it all and just skip town. It's the house that holds you back, but then I'll burn it down. It's a dog, then I'll drop it right side of town. It's the car, then at night I'll roll it off a cliff. Time for peace and a time for war. Then there's a time for me to walk out the door. Stick my finger out the window as I drive away. Straight home to your pretty face. Pack up the bags and we'll hit the road. Could be to the beach in a day or so. When you think about it, doesn't make much sense, but it makes a lot of sense to me. Guess what I'm saying is such a crime. Spend our lives try to make it time. In the end, we just want more time with the ones we love. Oh, we never see the question, we just walk the line. In the end, maybe it's just a waste of time. I wanna spend my time building walls all sinking sand. Oh.
If you're a Christian artist and would like to hear your music in the Spotlight segment, send an email to the address in the description of the episode.
And now, back to the show.
All right. Awesome. We're back. Thank you so much to the One Takers. Although I have the strongest desire to say the Oni Takers, because if you guys have ever seen the movie That Thing You Do, it's about this band called the Wonders, but they spell it O-N-E, and then a lot of people accidentally pronounce it Oneaters. And so I don't know, for some reason I have this strong desire to call it Oni Takers, but I know it's not that. It's the one Takers. So thanks so much to the One Takers for supporting the show and sharing us your music. It's a lot of fun, a lot of funkiness, and I like it. I like the production on it. So thanks so much. And if you're a Christian artist or an artist who is a Christian, whatever, doesn't really make much difference to me, then yeah, shoot me an email, and if you want your music to be on the spotlight segment. So, all right, cool. All right, well, we're finally gonna get to the top 10 best Christian albums of 2023, and yeah, I've already said the disclaimers for the list, so we're just going to get right to it. All right, starting with my number 10. My number 10 is The Dog-Headed Saint by Oskar Nordbø. Now, so I've not really talked about this guy much because he was a new discovery for me this year. And by the time I had heard about this album, it had already been out for a while, and it was too late to really mention it on the show, because with my humble opinion, I pretty much just review new releases, and once they get past a certain time, it's like, never mind. But ever since I discovered it, it has been on constant rotation for me this year. Oskar Nordbø is actually Norwegian, and his music is appropriately folk, in that Norwegian influence feels very realized in his music. He still sings in English, by the way, so don't worry about that. I mean, I wouldn't be talking about it if he was singing in Norwegian, because I can't speak Norwegian. But he sings about, what I love about him is that he sings about both the sacred and the seemingly secular, yet he somehow manages to paint them both in a sacred light, showing that God is involved in all aspects in our lives. The production on this album is beautiful and goes beyond just the typical voice and guitar. There's a bunch of instrumentation that is involved. He has a couple instrumental tracks that act as intros and interludes and give the album a wonderful cinematic feel to it. There's a pure beauty to this album, and he's one of my favorite discoveries from last year. So I would compare him to artists like Jose Gonzalez. That's the first one that comes to my mind. But yeah, so it's a great album. So that's why it's my number 10, The Dog-Headed Saint by Oskar Nordbø.
And I don't wanna run away from all your love. Oh, I don't wanna run away.
All right, moving on to my number 9. My number 9 is Pioneer by Cory Asbury. So now, of course, I already talked a little bit about this album in my top 10 best Christian hit songs list, because his song Kind ended up being my number 1 song from last year. But I just want to reiterate, I was not going to listen to this album originally. not that I hated Cory Asbury, I just really only knew him as the worship music guy, and wasn't really interested in listening to anything new from him. But then I started hearing a lot of good things about this album from the guys at the JFH podcast. And while I didn't believe them, I eventually had to listen to it because a couple of the songs made it in the top 50 charts. So, of course, because of the criteria for my top 10 best lists, I had to listen to those to prepare for my lists. And after being totally surprised by Kind and These Are the Days, I knew I had to check out the rest of the album. And much to my delight, the rest of the album did not disappoint. Instead of Pioneer being a run-of-the-mill worship album, we're greeted from the first track by a more country acoustic feel that is prevalent throughout the whole album. This album really feels like Cory going through a lot of thoughts and feelings and being open about it. Through many different songs, he sings about childhood, fatherhood, parenthood, and what it means to be a Christian, all in 11 tracks, and how through all of it, he's putting his trust in God. It's a beautiful album and incredibly honest, and that's what I appreciate about it, because he was the guy that did, Reckless Love, and while I have my problems with that song, it's like, whatever, worship guy. But no, this is worship guy getting real, and the country sound suits him definitely a lot better than it suited Chris Tomlin. So yeah, that's my number 9, Pioneer by Cory Asbury.
God, I'm thankful for the beauty in the mess. Wouldn't be the man I am today.
All right, so my number 8 is What You Don't Know by Fepeste. So I've talked about Fepeste on this channel before, especially my issue with not pronouncing their name properly. But we discussed that, and also, he was a spotlight artist on the show. So, hey, that's also a good way to get me to notice your music, is to reach out to me to be a spotlight artist. But I still love this album just as much as I did when I first listened to it. With his music, Eric Jett picks up his guitar and just talks to God. He brings his questions, concerns, and doubts to God, and he does it in a very real way. His music is also very fun, as well as well-crafted with all the different guitar sounds and such. I know before I compared him to Kurt Weill, even though he told me that he had never heard his music before. But I've also realized a sort of, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, but a sort of Bright Eyes, Conor Oberst influence, maybe. More particularly, his side project, Better Oblivion Community Center, that he did with Phoebe Bridgers. If Conor had more of a southern twang to his sound, not really just to his voice, but just his style, it just kind of seems like it's like if Kurt Weill and Conor Oberst had a child, this would be it. It's absolutely fun ride, as well as meaningful. And yeah, so that is my number 8. It is What You Don't Know by Fepeste.
Cares and worries all the time. Fear and trouble.
All right. I'm sorry that everything's kind of glitchy right now. Executus Prime, who's that good-looking dude on the screen? Talking about this guy? It's just me, it me. But welcome to the stream, Executus Prime. Not sure if it's someone that I'm supposed to know, but yeah. Anyways, so moving on to my number 7. my number 7 is Accidental Days by Chase Tremaine. I've been very lucky to find a new friend in Chase, especially since he's such a talented guy. I mean, I just did an interview with him that you guys can check out from a couple weeks ago. The way he crafts his music has so much energy to it, from the guitar parts to his vocals. It's all so good. His melodies are so incredibly catchy and memorable. His lyricism explores all the different and unique experiences of life, and it's all documented through the eyes of someone who is trying to live a surrendered life to Christ. For me, there's a lot of nostalgic feelings I get when listening to it. I hear bits of May, the classic Crime, Falling Up, which I know he's really only stated one of those as being an actual influence on his music. So I don't know if he'll agree with all of those artists, but that's my experience, and that's my truth. Either way, it's a fun album that has a lot of energy to it. And I guess while I'm talking about it, you should also check out the deluxe edition that has a few more tracks on it that are also just as good. So, yeah, that's my number 7, Accidental Days by Chase Tremaine. Gosh dang it, what is going on? It's like they're only 10-second clips. Why is it gotta be glitching out like that? What did you say, mister? I don't know. I don't know who it is, but, if they're a friend, then they're welcome, all right, so moving on to my number 6. It is No Creature is Hidden by Former Ruins. Now, this was another album that I wish that I had listened to when it came out, because if I did, I would have praised the heck out of this album on the channel in a review or something. I had seen Levi Sykes of Former Ruins perform twice at Audio Feed, and I really liked his songwriting, but for some reason, I procrastinated on actually listening to his music, and I didn't really give it a chance until near the end of last year. And it's incredible. I could always tell that Levi was a great lyricist, and No Creature is Hidden is no exception. He does a great job at exploring our humanity and who God is and all that space in between. His songs beautifully portray how different we are from God and the beauty in that. And to complement that, the album has excellent production. The music is so great. I'm sure he gets this comparison a lot, but I used to be a huge fan of the band The National, and I kind of fell off at some point, but his music reminds me of the things I loved about The National, except he's improved on it by making the songs about God. He actually kind of reignited my love for The National's old stuff, and I've kind of been listening to them as of late. But, and not to say that he's just a Christian version of The National, because he definitely makes it his own thing, and it's still very fresh and new, doing things that The National doesn't do. So, and I still have to say that the quality of this album is more than an independent release deserves to be. So, yeah, I highly recommend you guys check it out, since I haven't talked about it before. But yeah, that's my number 6. No Creature is Hidden by Former Ruins.
This one cliche, but I now wonder if it's the one you want. I now
All right, chill out, dude. Not Former Ruins. Like this, I don't know why it's so skippy today. But all right, so number 5. We're halfway there. Number 5, I've talked about on the show before, but it is Hearth Songs by Brian Sauvé. I know this wasn't the only album release from Brian last year, but somehow this one just resonated with me a lot more. This album is for anyone to listen and enjoy. But I will say, if you want an album that will inspire you and encourage you to be a better father, a better husband, or a better man of God in general, I would encourage all you guys to listen to this, because while this is a very personal album from Brian that does seem to be specifically written for his family, I mean, it is, because there's songs that are like literally titled, for his sons and daughters. But this album gives a perfect roadmap of what it means to be a man after God's own heart. It shows what it means to truly fall in love with the woman of your life. It shows what it truly means to love your children and care for them. And it shows what it means to be a leader for your family and show them what it means to live for God. It's a beautiful piece of Brian's life that he has decided to share with the world. And I've personally found it very inspiring for me, for someone who isn't even married. But it also helps that the songs are memorable and wonderful to listen to. It's got that folk feel to it. And Brian Sauvé has an incredible and unique talent of being a strong male role model figure, as well as an effective and soft-spoken songwriter. It's a shorter album. I mean, it could almost qualify as an EP, but it's like 7 tracks. It's a half-hour long, so that's either a long EP or a short album. So I'm counting it as an album. But yeah, that's my number 5, Hearth Songs by Brian Sauvé.
I was wondering if I could have you, if I could take that river home.
All right, cool. Moving on to my number 4. It is Telephone Friends. I'm gonna exit out a few things because it might be slowing things down, and that's why it is acting the way that it is. So, my number 4 is the self-titled album from Telephone Friends. And Telephone Friends is a new band made up of a bunch of different members that include, but are not limited to, John Van Dusen and Tyson Motzenbacher. Being fans of both of those guys, I was really excited to check out their music, and I was not disappointed. From what I understand, I believe it was Tyson who was the main lyricist behind the songs, at least most of them, which makes sense because it gives him a better chance to utilize his more quirky side that comes up every so often in his own music. And I'm not saying that this album is a comedy album by any means, but it often kind of has those elements, especially when they're singing about not wanting to be a BMW dad or falling in love with the woman giving COVID tests. If anything, it reminds me of a time when there were bands in the Christian rock scene that didn't feel like that they had to write songs about Christianity all the time, but still knew how to have fun. It very much reminds me of old school Reliant K when they used to write songs that weren't really about anything in particular. They were just clever and fun songs. And that's definitely what we get with Telephone Friends, because what I'm thinking of is that, like, it seemed like for a lot of bands that if you weren't talking about Christianity, and things about God, you were just kind of like more serious, talking about relationships and all that. And that was all fine and good. But there never really seemed to be that middle ground of like being fun and clever with your songwriting and like not being like depressed about life, but not having to talk about like like really churchy things or anything. Not saying that like either of those spectrums are wrong. I'm just saying it's kind of fun to have that kind of music. And so that's what we get with Telephone Friends. And that's not to say that this album doesn't have its more serious moments, but more than anything, I think that what this album really does is just say, hey, life is funny sometimes, isn't it? But that's okay. Let's just rock and roll. And it does that through the vehicle of an incredible indie rock album. So it's a fun listen. It's my number 4 self-titled album from Telephone Friends. Gosh dang it. I'm really getting upset by this. I'm sorry. This is not how it's supposed to go. And even my camera is getting kind of weird, but whatever. We pull through. We pull through to my number 3, and this is getting in the territory of, you know, it doesn't matter. I'm not even going to mention that because it doesn't matter. All these albums are great, and they're equal in many ways. So my number 3 is, again, by The Ongoing Concept. So the boys are back again. Now, I've been listening to this album all year round, but the only reason why I didn't talk about this album was because I thought I had heard that the members of the band weren't Christian, even though I thought for years that they were. But then I had other people telling me that they were. So I don't know anything, and I'm just going to keep talking about this band until I hear otherwise. I mean, I'm still listening to this band, whether they're Christian or not, because they're still so great. The Ongoing Concept has been one of my favorite hardcore bands for a long time, especially after such masterpieces as Saloon and Handmade. But when they went on an indefinite hiatus, and it was never clear if they would ever come back, actually. But they did indeed, and they're just as good as ever. I've always appreciated their wonderful knack for blending so many different sounds and genres into hardcore, and again is a full realization of that. One of the unique things about this album is that each song is a sort of sequel to a previous Ongoing Concept song. They revisit the themes and to a degree the sound of those songs and write a completely new song. I mean, it's almost unnecessary for most of these to be known as sequels to other songs, because I believe that they all very much stand on their own as quality songs. But the concept is, pun unintended, is still a fun idea. The riffs are so much fun, and the album has so much going on. They have a perfect blend of heavy organic instrumentation with incredible synth work. I love the perfect balance of heavy and noisy and melodic. This album has so much great energy, and that's all that I can really say about it. These guys have just always been fantastically creative artists, and I'm glad they're back. So it's no wonder that it is my number 3, again, by The Ongoing Concept. Oh, hey, that one went through without any problems. Okay. We're almost there. We're getting near. So my number 2 is Yes and by 68. I'll listen to anything from Josh Scogin. He's one of my favorite creative voices in music in general. Everything from his early days in Norma Jean to the Chariots' whole discography, and now to 68, he definitely has a distinct fingerprint that he leaves on everything he's involved in. You all should know how much I love the Chariot and how much I love their album One Wing. Definitely in my top 20 albums of all time. Yes, and I think is the closest of 68's albums that is reminiscent of One Wing in a sense that it has perfect dynamics. It's like the best parts of two farts. Wow. 2 parts Viper and One Wing. Any song will start going in one direction and then all of a sudden it'll take a sudden left turn. The whole album definitely has its consistent sound, but it keeps surprising you by adding in all of these different touches, and it's such a fun ride. On top of that, we've got Josh's incredible lyricism that he screams out to the world, encouraging us to be better artists, better people, and better Christians. There's nothing wrong with always wanting to grow, and Josh is the perfect motivational coach. And 68 is an incredible duo that always manages to get me both screaming and singing along all within the same album. So it really is no wonder that it's my number 2. That's Yes and by 68.
Tell me something that I don't know.
All right. Oh, yeah. That's right, Nick. All right. We're finally to it. My number 1. I really hope that these little clips, this next clip doesn't mess it up, because this is a number 1 and this is a very important album. And my number 1 Christian album of 2023 is Home Enough for Now by Benjamin Daniel. I don't know how predictable this might have been to some of my followers. It is true that Benjamin Daniel has become what I would consider a good friend, and I'm grateful for that. He's appeared on my channel plenty of times, and I've gushed over his music plenty of times. But I can truthfully say that I became a fan before I became a friend. And even after meeting him and getting to know him and becoming more of a fan of his music, I had no idea that this album was going to come out of him. It is said that some of the best parts, some of the best art comes from a place of pain. And this album is the embodiment of that. For those of you who might not know, this album was written in the aftermath of the passing of Benjamin's mother. This is beauty and pain all wrapped up in one heavy hour-long album. It's gut-wrenching while also comforting. It portrays the life of a heavy-hearted Christian while also showing the freedom of a trusting believer. Benjamin shows that it is possible to grow from grief to joy and acceptance, but not without the pain, the questions, and not without being broken on the way. And the fact that Ben was able to do this by recording all his vocals and guitar parts through his iPhone is just incredible to me. I mean, the production still sounds great, and I mean, I honestly don't feel right even mentioning that, because I don't want people. I want people to listen to this album without really even knowing that, because I did, and I wouldn't have even guessed. And they utilize it so well with the sound of the album, and I think it helps with the overall rawness of the album, because don't get me wrong, it's beautiful sounding, and they do a great job at putting it all together. But I think probably the fact that most of it is him just singing into his phone makes it a lot more personal and authentic. I don't know, either way, that's how it comes across to me. So this is up there with like A Grief Observed by C.S. Lewis, and like Letters to Lost Loves by Tyson Motzenbacher. All of these pieces of art dealing with death as a Christian and I think it's an incredibly helpful album for anyone who's going through these things, but super inspiring even if you really haven't. I appreciate so much about it, and also it's just a wonderful listen. I mean, I'm not saying that it's, you know, the easiest listen, but it's art, you know, and that's what art is. Art isn't always, you know, happy and, you know, all that. It's I think good true art, you know, has some pain in it. And yeah, so and Benjamin Daniels already releasing some new music that you guys need to check out. I'm definitely going to review it in the next episode. But yeah, so it really is no surprise to me, and maybe not to any of you guys, that this was my number one Christian album of 2023. That is Home Enough for Now by, where's my mouse? Home Enough for Now by Benjamin Daniel. And I apologize, I did not play that clip without having to clip it. This is, yeah, anyways. I'm sorry, it's super disappointing for me, but yeah. Even with all those problems, I apologize to any of you guys, but I hope you guys appreciated that list. Those were just a lot of my favorites. So I have updated the Cliff's Picks playlist on Spotify that you can check out. Link in the description. I've added a song from each of these albums. And I do that for every episode, because I also update it with whatever I talk about on My Humble Opinion, and the Spotlight Artist as well. So that's on there. So yeah, go check it out. There, each song is one of my favorites from each album. So please go check it out. And I mean, just go check out the whole albums in general. But you know, checking out the Spotify playlist is a good, like, direct into those albums. So yeah, let me guys know what you think. What were your top 10 albums of last year? Were there any that were on my list, that were on yours? You know, let's talk about it. You know, leave a comment, and yeah, let's have a conversation. I, for one, am glad to have these lists behind me, and I can go on to normal episodes for now. But not to say that I'm not happy to give these artists in their albums the spotlight that they deserve. But yeah, so you don't remember? Oh, well, you'll be up. Nick Gundy says he doesn't remember. Are you saying you don't remember your top 10? That's okay. I mean, you can think about it later and leave a comment. But okay, so there is something that now that we've gotten all that out of the way, there was something that I wanted to talk about. Okay, yeah, that's what it was. That I wanted to talk about concerning the future of this live stream. Yeah, I'm having one of these conversations again. But I think it's kind of appropriate that I've been having these difficulties playing these little 10-second clip videos, because that kind of has to do with what I wanted to talk about. So don't worry, I'm not going away, and I'm not taking another... Executus Prime remembers Nick's top 10. Okay, so that's good. You guys will have a little conversation. So I'm not going away, and I'm not stopping the channel. I'm just having an open conversation about some concerns that I've had. I am in kind of a conflict as to whether I want to... okay, so first, when I started the I'm Clifford Today show, it was for a few different reasons. Because I started the I'm Clifford Today show for it to be my chance to talk about a couple of things. One, I wanted to talk about topics that were a bit more topical and relevant at the time. So that, like, if any news came out, I wanted the chance to be able to talk about those things. And two, the I'm Clifford Today show also offered me the chance to talk about things that were maybe, not worthy of like a whole video for me to film and edit. Like, say, like some of the album ranking tier list episodes, and whatever. And the thing is that, like, with both of those things, if I wanted to talk about something more topical and relevant, making a video took too much effort and it took too long that by the time that it was out, the topic was probably no longer relevant. So doing a podcast, I knew that I wanted to do a sort of podcast that was going to take not that much effort, to like little to no editing if possible, and then I can just do it and then it would just be out there, and I thought that, live streaming is a good format for that. And plus there was the chance, like when I do live streams, to have more interaction with you guys. And I am having more interaction with you guys today. Very grateful for you guys leaving chats. So yeah, that's why I started it. And, I think the show has grown ever since then, and it's done exactly what I really wanted it to do, because like with live streams, I could just hop on and just do my thing and then end the live stream and then it'll be done. I might have to do a few extra things at the end, like show notes and, putting the audio version together and putting it up on the podcast platforms. And yeah, it's doing what it's, what I wanted it to do. Now, I've been having some, I've been kind of debating about, and, I want you guys' thoughts about this, whether you're watching live now or, watching afterwards. I've been debating about whether I wanted to keep live streaming the show for a few reasons. Now it just so happens that I have a couple of people today watching in the live stream right now, and that's cool. And this isn't me complaining or anything, because, I don't do this show for the numbers. I mean, yeah, if like no one was watching my channel, then I would most likely not be as motivated to do stuff on here. But the fact that I have a handful of people that really like what I do, that is motivation enough for me to do what I do. However, ever since I got back from, I had the break because of the like technical issues with my computer. I had to get a new one. Ever since I came back, I have to admit that streaming views haven't been as strong as like when I was first starting out. I will say though that my views go up after the fact of the live stream. So I get a lot of my interactions today are mostly after the live stream is done and it's published and everything, and which is awesome. I love that. I still love the chance, the fact that you guys are watching the show and interacting with it, even if you're not watching on the live stream. So there's that. And also, on top of that, and this episode is kind of a testament to that. Even though I've been running on a new computer, I still have been meaning to get, and I'm sorry, my stomach has been growling because I'm hungry. So I apologize if you can hear that. It's kind of gross. I'm sorry. I've been working on this new laptop, but the thing is that it is a laptop and it's not meant to handle a whole lot. And I have been meaning to get a new computer, like a PC computer, not only just for the live stream here, but also for like gaming and such, and for the gaming live streams, which I hope to bring back as soon as I can. The thing is that this laptop is not really handling a whole lot, and also it's a combination of my laptop and the internet that I have here. And while it's been working better, I still have been having some issues with it. This episode as an example, but I also have issues with the internet. Last episode, I had that stupid problem of my camera not being on when I started the show, even though it definitely was on when I tested it before I started the show. And for me, that was really embarrassing because that was my interview with Chase Tremaine. And, when I have a guest on the show, I want to, put my best foot forward and make a quality show. But sometimes when you have a live stream, those unpredictable things happen. And yes, with YouTube, they offer the option to trim those things out and to edit them. But here's the thing. I did plan on like trimming out that whole beginning where my camera wasn't working and I had to restart the whole show. I planned on doing that, but I can't make changes to the episode until after the video is done processing, which I guess that means it's like processing to be in like HD quality. That took me about a week until I could do that, until YouTube let me trim out that beginning part of that episode. So for a whole week, when people would check out that episode, they were watching that weird, clumsy beginning and probably turning a lot of people off from watching the episode. So things like that are just super embarrassing for me, especially since I can't do a whole lot to change them. This episode, I can't really do anything to change the fact that those clips that I played of the music were just super glitchy for some reason. And probably just because my computer was just running really low. I don't know. So I've been considering, and I want to hear you guys' opinion on this. If you guys like, no, I love watching the live stream, it's really fun for me. I want to hear that because I've not made a final decision, but I am considering not live streaming this show. Now, the format I'm planning, like if I do this, the format would stay the same. I would be talking in front of a camera as free form as I usually would on a live stream, because live streams are fun. Nick Gundy says, yeah, they are. They're not fun when they're supposed to be like a well-produced podcast, and I don't have like a whole lot of great production quality to keep it, a quality show. But my thinking is that I would have a pre-recorded show that would still go up on Saturdays. I'll read you guys' comments in a minute. I want to get my thoughts out here. I appreciate it. Keep them coming in. But doing it like pre-recording it and then like putting it up on Saturday, the feel of the show would stay the same. I mean, the chats won't be there, but I've had episodes where like no one was watching anyways, and that's fine. But yeah, the show just kind of goes on as normal. But doing it that way will make the show a lot more smoother. All I would really do is, film myself in front of the camera, like very similar to what I'm doing now. But the bumpers, the like intro videos and the ads and the spotlights and the little clips that I show for like maybe top 10 lists or the My Humble Opinion segments, they will all be edited in after the fact. But they would be, I assure you, it would be a lot smoother. Won't have any glitches. Won't have any, little hangups when I just try to do something as simple as playing a video, So that would come out all a lot smoother. and they would still be like on time and topical. I would probably film them like a couple of days before the episode goes up, because even though they're long videos, they wouldn't take as long to make, like, as opposed to like the Podwood Forecast that I do. It's an audio podcast that I do with my friend. Those episodes take up to a week to edit, which is fine because we don't really have a set schedule of when those episodes go up. They just go up when they go up. Even though we don't like to keep people waiting long. But I go all in with the editing on those. Since it's audio form, I cut out the ums, I cut out the stutters like that. And I edit in audio to like show clips of what we're talking about and such. And so it's like a fun, almost like kind of NPR quality level. I don't do that on this show, and I wouldn't do it even if it was pre-recorded, because there's something different about it being on video. You guys don't want to see me like cutting out my ums, because it would be like, I'm over here, and it would just like be visually, it just would not work out. So yeah, that's kind of my thinking. And also another perk of having this show pre-recorded, I mean, like, the interviews that I do are obviously pre-recorded because, I mean, one, it could be a scheduling issue, like maybe the guests that I want can't do an interview on a Saturday at noon, but also I just don't trust my equipment enough to trust that a guest can come live on my show and there not be any issues. So that's why they are pre-recorded, and I put them up, and it's like, okay, we're good to go. So that would be another perk, but also I've been considering, I've toyed with the idea of having either consistent co-hosts on the show, because I don't always like talking by myself. I'm just being honest. I like having people to interact with, which the chat helps with that. But it is kind of fun to have someone there with you that you're interacting with. And so I've toyed with the idea of having co-hosts, people who, also care about the subject matter, like Christian music and all that. Or at the very least, having panel episodes where I have maybe a reoccurring guest that I've had on before, and we talk about a certain subject. It's not really meant to be like an artist interview or anything. It's just having someone on the show to talk about a specific thing. Having it pre-recorded will work out a lot better, because I am not daring to have them come on live on the show, because I just don't trust that it would go well. So yeah, those are my thoughts. And let me read you guys' chats real quick. Executus Prime says you should do more short form content and then just live stream for fun when you feel like it. Well, no, because I mean, I understand what you're saying. I like doing these long form episodes every couple of weeks for the reasons that I mentioned. I like to be topical and talk about things that are more relevant, and they're fun for me. I don't really like doing short. I mean, of course, I do the edited content that I do. I've got the new video coming out this Monday. You guys need to check out. But the I'm Clifford Today show is just different, and I want to keep that going. But the debate is whether I want to live stream it or not. Because either way, I'm still going to do it. But I feel like having it an edited, pre-recorded version would be a lot better. And I say edited, it's like little to no editing. Again, it would only be, intro videos, bumper videos, the spotlight segments, and all that. Everything else, me talking in front of the camera, there'll be little to no editing, aside from maybe if, like I do on a live stream, maybe I'll have a technical difficulty. All I really got to do is just re-record that part and edit that out, so... Nick Gundy says we're amateurs. I know Pints with Aquinas does pre-recorded episodes as well. Well, yeah, there are like usually two forms of podcasts, because, Podwood Forecast is a perfect example of that it's pre-recorded, and then when it's edited, we put it up, even though it's an audio format. And yeah, a lot of other podcasts that do have video podcasts, they are pre-recorded and they put them up. They're not live streamed. But there are the live stream shows that I enjoy, like Timcast IRL and such. They're live streamed, and they do have that that interaction with chats usually. But my problem is that I just don't have the production quality like they do, at least not yet. And this might only be if I do go in this direction, it's gonna be temporary, hopefully, maybe. I don't know, we'll see. I would love to know you guys' thoughts about it. If you guys are like very like, no, keep the live streams, I like the live streams, then please let me know. But if you're like, either way, doesn't really matter, I kind of tend to watch the show after the live stream is done anyways, then yes, please tell me, because a lot of this is just very frustrating for me. As better as my live streams have been as of late, I still have those little issues that just bother me so much, because I want my show to be a top quality show, and it bothers me when I have those little glitches like I did today. So yeah, I'd love to know you guys' thoughts. I mean, if I don't get a strong reaction either way, I might just end up going in that direction. I don't know. We'll see. This is me just talking, thinking out loud. So I'd love to have you guys' input on that. And we'll see. And I'll definitely talk about it again in the future, because I'm not just going to do it without, without you guys' consent. No, without you guys knowing about it. But yeah. I need help. So we'll see. I think that's all I really wanted to talk about. And if you guys have some like more insight, maybe some better options, just let me know. And also on top of that, I mentioned the gaming streams. I still want to like stream, non I'm Clifford Today show stuff. Eventually I'm going to get back into the gaming streams, like doing the Stronghold streams, especially with the new game out. I've been dying to play it, but I have so many things to save up for money wise. And, PC game, a gaming PC is on the list, but just not yet. But yeah, I want to get back into just like normal casual live streams. So those won't go away. I still want to be active on my Twitch channel. So, yeah, that's, it is what it is, as a wise man once said. Yeah, again, for the 10th time, I'd love to know you guys' thoughts. If you have any strong reactions to that, please voice them. Don't be afraid to ask, because I will read them and I will listen, and we'll talk about it again in the future, most likely in the next episode. So, for now, I think that's all the thoughts I have on that. I might make a post as well for other people to see, because I know this is the end of the episode. Maybe not a lot of people will make it to the end of the episode. So we'll see. Sorry about that rant. We're going to get into my humble opinion after I take a swig of water. Because I talked a lot. So yeah. We have there's been a lot of releases that have all just recently come out that I haven't had a chance to get to, and so I'm going to be playing catch up definitely in the next episode. But I have a few releases that I wanted to talk about today. Once again, we have some new music from the Eagle Rock Gospel Singers. A new single called "Aw Yeah." And I think they're teasing for working on a new album, because they've been releasing a lot of singles. But yeah, it's an unsurprisingly fun bop from these guys. Some good old gospel country blues feel about having the joy of the Holy Spirit within us. And it's a lot of fun to listen to. Nothing surprising here. I love the Eagle Rock Gospel Singers. They have a great vibe, and they're just a lot of fun. So check out their single, Aw Yeah. Okay, well, no issues with that video. All right. Okay, so we have new music from the band Meadows. Now, some of you guys may know that Meadows was in my audio feed documentary. They were one of the artists that I interviewed on there. Super cool guys, really chill, and they have a new album coming out, so they've released a few new singles. They released another one, and I haven't gotten a chance to listen to that, so I'm sorry. I'll probably review that in the next episode, but so far I've only listened to the two songs, Barabbas, Silence of Innocence, and Old Friend, New Leaf. It's incredibly heavy stuff that has that chaotic, unpolished, I don't mean that in a bad way, like purposely unpolished and organic feel to it that I love. I mean, it still sounds professional. They have a great sound. And both songs seem to be going for like a Good Friday theme, talking about Christ's sacrifice on the cross. And they, like I said, they've got a full album coming out, and so I can't wait to check that out. But yeah, check out their new music and their new single, even though I haven't listened to it, so I can't vouch for it, but I'm sure it's great. So yeah, Barabbas, Silence of Innocence, and Old Friend, New Leaf by Meadows. Go check it out. Barabbas! Okay, I guess we had an issue with that one. I'm sorry. I keep bringing it. I'm just so insecure about what's going on. So, yeah. Anyways, speaking of EPs, we have the new EP from Paper Horses. Yeah, Nick Gundy says, "Oh, there's several people that shared this band session video." They're really good. They're audio feed alumni, so I'm surprised that you didn't know them. But yeah, they're really good. I think that you would really like them, Nick, knowing your tastes. But yeah, okay. So self-titled EP from Paper Horses, the super group comprised of Sandra McCracken, Leslie Jordan, Taylor Leonhardt, and Jess Ray. I've talked about a lot of these songs before that are on this EP, but now they've released it. They've compiled it together as a full release. But it includes some new songs that I had not talked about before. So simple but beautiful Americana folk set to lyrics of worship and prayer. It sounds great, and their voices are awesome. I highly recommend you check it out. It's their self-titled EP from Paper Horses.
We who have been reconciled should love our enemy.
All right, and now finally, the last episode we talked about the new song from Drew and Ellie Holcomb, Brick by Brick. Well, now they've released a whole, I say whole, it's like a 3-track EP with 2 new songs on it, like We Can Go Dancing and Hold That, Carry That Torch. Yeah, it just goes along with how good Brick by Brick was. Just, what you'd expect from Drew and Ellie Holcomb, just really good Americana folk sound, and just really encouraging music. And it's really nice to hear them, sing songs about their relationship, as well as like songs addressed to the listener, of encouragement. So yeah, it's a good 3-track EP. I would highly recommend it if you like folk music, if you like Drew Holcomb or Ellie Holcomb. It's a good listen. So check out the EP Brick by Brick.
It ain't a crime. It ain't a crime to be glad you're
And that's it for my humble opinion. All right, so that is it. There's a lot more music that I got to get through for the next episode, and so I kind of got to pick and choose which ones I'm going to talk about. So I think that's going to do it for this week's episode. I know it's kind of a weird episode. There's a lot that I wanted to get through today, but like I said, leave a comment, guys. What are your guys' thoughts on everything? What were you guys' thoughts on the list? What are you guys' thoughts on the future of the live streams? Everything. So that'll do it for today. Make sure to like and subscribe if you liked and what you saw and heard. Leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or whatever. If you listen to on a podcast platform and it allows you to leave a rating or review, please do so. It's been a long time since I've given a shout out to anyone leaving a review, so please do that and I'll read it out loud. I'm Clifford today. My clips and highlights channel for you guys to check out. Go subscribe to that as well. All the links are in the description. Podwood Forecast, of course. We've got our top 10 albums from last year, and we're coming out with our top 10 films of last year very soon, so check that out. Always got merch. Links in the description if you want a t-shirt or a mug or whatever. Again, new video coming out this Monday. Check it out. I think you guys are going to like it. It's the most underrated Newsboys song. The title is actually Newsboys in Deconstruction, so I encourage you guys to go check that out. And and next episode, Joshua S. Porter. Check that out in a couple of weeks. My interview with him, it's going to be great. I'm so excited for you guys to check it out. It's going to be fun. So please be checking that out. You guys are great. I'm Clifford today, and you're not. Bye.